But the problem is not with the work you are doing. Some of you think you need a new job. You don't need a new job. You need a new you. You don't need a new job. You need a new you. You will have to change. Value your job. Value your job. You know, I hold a certain philosophy that every job is important. There is nothing like a bad job. It depends on the person doing the job. The value of a job is not determined only by what the market says. It is also determined by you, the person doing the job, whether you place any value on the job or not. The same job you may be complaining about, the same work you may be complaining about. Somebody somewhere is doing the same work and is creating a lot of value out of it. So the problem, it may not be with the work you are doing. The problem may be with you, the individual, doing that particular job. So there are some of us, you know, in Ghana, Africa, we have a lot of people involved in handicrafts and things you do with your hands. Like you go to learn a trade, a skill, like hairdressing, like plaiting of hair and all of those things. We have a lot of such small plumbers. You know, you don't value those kind of jobs. But that same job, somebody has done it or is doing it and has built a house out of that job. So what's the difference between you and the other person who is doing that same job? For everybody here, whatever work you do, there is somebody somewhere who is doing the same job and may be doing it at a higher level, in a better way than you. So the problem is not with the work you are doing. Some of you think you need a new job. You don't need a new job. You need a new you. You don't need a new job. You need a new you. You will have to change, and it can add more value to that job that you are doing. So the value of a job is not only determined by what the market says. And I can give several examples. See, you can be a hairdresser. Some people don't value hairdressing. But what did this lady start with, Grace Mayobe? FC. What did she start? She started with a saloon. How about Alio? They all started with a saloon. But you see, they were thinking big of the same job. So how big you are seeing what you are doing is more important than what you are doing. How big your perspective of the work you are doing is more important than what you are doing. So the value you place on your work determines what you can make out of it. You go some places, sometimes you can't introduce yourself. When we ask you, me, one question I always ask, what is your name? The next question is always, what do you do? And some people don't have the confidence to say what they do. Why? Because they don't place a lot of value on what they do.
Yeah, they're employed.
You cannot grow in a job you don't consider to be valuable. You cannot grow in a job that you don't consider to be valuable. If you don't consider the work you are doing to be of importance, there is no motivation or drive for you to invest in yourself, to grow yourself and move yourself to a higher level. For every work you do, there is a higher level to it. This is one of the most important truths that if it hits your spirit and you capture it, you blow up, you explode. For whatever work you do, for whatever job you do, there is a higher level to that same work. You don't need to jump out of that career, out of that business necessarily. You need to jump to the next level of that same career or business. I repeat, you don't need to jump out of that career or business necessarily. You may just need to rather jump up to the next level of the same job or the same career. And some of you have heard me say this before. There is nothing wrong with being an electrician. But if the only thing that I will call you to do is to fix bulbs and change plugs and sockets, it will take you a long time before you can really break through and succeed in what you are doing. There are electricians and there are electrical engineers. There are electrical engineers and there are electrical contractors. So, if I'm an electrician, there's nothing wrong with being an electrician. But if I stay as a common electrician for the rest of my life, there is something wrong with it. What I need to do is to move on to the next notch, the next level in the same job, which is what? Becoming an electrical engineer. And then being an electrical engineer, you have a degree or you have better qualifications now, it's not enough. There is electrical contractor, because there is a contractor who has employed engineers and they are working for him and he's winning big contracts and he's deploying them and he's making a lot of money. So whenever I see professionals or workers who have taken what is ordinary and they have made something extraordinary about it, it wows me. For instance, when you're driving on the Odoko road, or at times I hear the adverts on radio, anointed electricals. How many of you have heard of anointed electricals? They're electricians, but they are higher level electricians. So what I'm saying is that if I'm an electrician, I must think of moving to the next level in the same thing I'm doing. You may not need to move to another country necessarily, depending on who you are. Your worldview, the way you see yourself and see what you're doing doesn't change. You will be a crocodile here, you get them, you still be a crocodile. And your outcomes in life may be the same thing. So it's important that you value the work that you do. And another example is that there's nothing wrong with being a hairdresser. There's nothing wrong with having a salon and managing a salon. But you see, there are some people, they call themselves beauticians. They are also hairdressers, by another level of hairdressing. I hear there is a woman in Tesano here whose salon is so busy that people drive from Tema. It's not like there is no salon in Tema. There's a salon there, but they drive all the way from Tema to her shop. And when they drive there, they queue. And they are willing to queue. Because she has taken the job. And for somebody to move her car from Tema to Tesano, it means that when she's coming, she's not even going to pay ordinary money. So there's nothing wrong with barbering. But if all you barber is Yaw Tenkorang's hair, your money may be small. Seriously. Because I will not pay more than 10 Ghana cedis for the haircut. But you see, there is a class of people who will not go where I go. And they still have the haircuts. They call them the X-Men people. They believe they're in the X class. So X-Men, when you enter there, how much do you pay for a haircut? Some of you will never pay, say, 50 Ghana, 25, 30 Ghana for a haircut. Somebody is willing to pay that money without sweat, without struggle. So if I'm a hairdresser and if I'm a barber and I value barbering, my thinking must be, what is the next level of barbering I can get to? Some guy came to Ghana, I think last year or so. He calls himself Celebrity Barber, Ghanaian barber in the United Kingdom. How many of you heard of him? He barbers the hair of only who? The footballers and celebrities. Why? What did somebody say that you're all laughing to? I didn't catch that one. What about who? That's a Kufuadu barber. His hair. So we are laughing at the fact that there is no hair. In effect, you are laughing at me also. It's all acceptable. I shave my hair every 5 days. Every 5 days I have to shave my hair. Else when I turn like this, you laugh at me. It's all well and good. The Lord is my God. So you can be an ordinary barber or you can be an X-Man barber. You can be an X-Men barber or you can be an image consultant. That is another level. Jibodi Dosu does not call herself a hairdresser. She calls herself an image consultant. Because there are some people, they dress up celebrities and important people. Do you think when Nanado, haven't you seen Nanado has changed his dressing when he became president? Yeah. He hasn't put on a lot of suits, African wear, and I love him for that. Yeah. Imagine if you were a Kufuado's image consultant. And you are the one determining what you should wear, you should not wear, and the kind of dresses and the designs. It comes with a certain level of sophistication, which if you are a shallow tailor, oh yeah, and when I discovered recently that this actor, Idris Elba, this British actor, just got married in Morocco, and his suit was sewn for him by Oswald Boateng. Oswald Boateng is somebody who has been knighted, a British fashion designer with Ghanaian descent. And he has even received an OBE, Order of the British Empire award from the Queen, a Ghanaian based in Britain. Big international people. So if I were you, and I'm a tailor, I'm a seamstress, I'd rather think of that level. means I am placing value on the job. Because the same work you are doing, there are different segments of the market which need those services. So some of you, what you need is a change in the market you are meeting their needs. Change the market you are addressing, and then you will change the outcomes for your life. There is nothing wrong with being a taxi driver. You are driving somebody's car. It is just a starting stage in life. But if I'm a taxi driver and I don't see beyond taxi driving, and all I am seeing is where I am today, there is something wrong with it. But you can graduate to the level where you own your own taxi. I picked a taxi driver a couple or 3 weeks ago, and the guy told me that car, he has paid for it, he did work and pay, and he has paid for it, and there's another car he's going to buy. He was driving so fast, and I'm saying, Master, I said, don't drive fast in there. Then we were talking, and I discovered he owns the car himself. He's working so fast, he needs a lot of money. He's going to buy the second car. He started driving a taxi, then he owned the taxi, now he's thinking of owning another taxi. By the time you are aware, he has a fleet of taxis. So if he approaches you today and you look at him, and he says he wants to marry you, you look at him, I see, you need to find out what his vision for the future is. Because through Pastor Beckson, I met some man, I've mentioned it to a lot of you, who started as a mate. Today he runs one of the biggest car rental companies in Ghana, Kempinski and Mevinpick Hotel. All the cars you see there, his company is in. My English is better than him. And he knows it. He has more money and influence than me in a certain sense. The same job, but he's taking it to a higher level. So then, what job you are doing, you don't need to change it necessarily. You need to take it to a higher level. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher. But you see, you can become the headmaster of the school. But if your skill set doesn't change, you will remain in the classroom. If you cannot manage the classroom, how can you manage the staff of a school? There is nothing wrong with selling cocoa. You know? But somebody calls it Hausa cocoa, and somebody calls it Haja cocoa, and somebody now has called it Cocoa King. And the moment he started, others have also followed suit. The same cocoa you buy, there's a segment of the market, they will like that cocoa, but they can't queue. And when they come and they see Hajia and the dress she's wearing and how she has polished herself, packaged herself, it discourages them from coming to buy. So why don't you repackage it and then present it to them? But you can only do this when you value your job. If you don't value the work you do, you will never grow in it. What on idea? You are hawking on the street, there is nothing wrong with it. But for every job, there is a job chain. And you need to move from the chain, the point on the chain you are, to the higher point. The things you are hawking on your head, you buy it from someone who is maybe a wholesaler. So the next notch for you is to think wholesaling. And not to think of continually retailing on my head in the streets of Accra. Because if I continue like that, it will take me a long time before I break through. So think about the next level of what I do. Every job is part of a longer or a larger chain. Listen, every job is part of a longer or a larger chain. If you don't like where you are, check the point on the chain you find yourself. Look up the chain and move yourself up. Every work you do is a chain. It's part of a chain. I don't know whether the technical term will be value chain. Value chain. So there are stages. There is somebody you take the goods from and then you offer it to somebody else. And there's somebody else. So think about it. The big pharmaceutical giants we have in Ghana, a lot of them started as retailers. Kena Pharma, Ernest, and what's the other one? Tobinco. They started as retailers, but they had a vision for the job. Today they are big. So there's nothing wrong to start with retailing, but take beyond retailing to wholesaling. Then the next notch for them is what? It's manufacturing. So the same products they were first buying from overseas, they have dreamt to the level where they are manufacturing it themselves. It is a chain. Which point in the work chain do you find yourself in? If your income is low, it's because you are at a low level of the work chain. You need to move up. Some of you, Moving up would mean innovating, because there is nobody in your market who is doing the next level of what you want to do or what you are seeing possible for you. There's nobody there, but it is still possible. You can start and grow it small. In the beginning, you will struggle, you will suffer. It will be very tough, but there is still a way for you in future. I was going to say amen, but this is not amen matter. The same bread. Some of you, maybe you sold bread before. Your mother used to bake bread, and we don't value bread. Then one guy has taken it to another level. Pound 20, better than the hammer, pound 20 scabbard mania. Every day I got on a phone on a shimmy, that means me go by degree, and that's now a phone on me. The guy has a degree from tech. Today, will you say that baking is a bad business? Based on what he is doing, it's not a bad business. There is nothing wrong with being a welder. But you see, train say you're crying, ever frown, say, let dine with two stage, obey gates. And Sana, what about the gate as a welder? Obey check. Do you know that when the oil company started, they are employing welders? And do you know they take thousands of dollars for welders? They are looking for welders of a certain class and competency. They don't get. Welders, professional well-trained welding. Welding now cost here the same welding some relation is doing and is struggling. Somebody is welding. The only difference is that you are welding some house in Nima, or no, or welding oil rig. Oil rig. So next level. This thing I will continue to drum it home wherever I go. Some of you have heard me say it before, and I'm so passionate about it because I believe it. Because Africa, we don't value it. The Chinese will come and they will take the same thing and turn it around. And then you'll be complaining that they've taken over. No, these guys, the dominion I said in the first part, they have the spirit of dominion. The spirit that makes him enter an environment. And then he doesn't come there to look for a job. He comes there to create a job. It's dominion. He doesn't come there to compete. He comes to take over. So he is taking over the market. You look at him, and then the spirit within him is the spirit of a lion. It's the spirit that takes over the environment. In English, they have some words. They say the guy has a God complex. Somebody who has a God complex, the kind of person, when he enters an environment, he wants to see he's around. And then he announces his presence. If you are a ruler, you must be the kind of person whose presence announces you. You come and you take over. You don't talk, you don't shout, but gradually, like a snake, you are taking over. And that is the mindset you need to have. If not, the same jobs we are running away from. The Lebanese, the moment they finish secondary school, they don't continue to invest in. They go and learn under their fathers, and they start doing business. By the time you are aware, they are blowing up. They are blowing up because we don't value what we have. When the white South Africans got to South Africa, the descendants of Nelson Mandela were using diamond to kill birds. That's what my geography teacher taught me in tech. Said they were using diamonds to kill birds. They had diamond, but they didn't appreciate the value of what they had. Guys, there is value in our country. There is money walking around. But you see, it's realm, it's perspective. If you don't see it, you can't make any good out of it. You can't make anything good out of it. There is nothing wrong with being a carpenter. But you've got to take it to the next level and change the segment of the market you are dealing with. Because when you go to Transaco, they use chairs and tables, true or false? They don't sit on gold, they sit on chairs and tables. But those chairs and tables, are you able? Do you have the sophistication? Do you have the level of skill to be able to design table? Because when they are designing table, there's a certain level where everything about the table speaks and has a meaning. But how to saw, how to cut, how to join, how to that basic level will not take you to that other level we are talking about. There's nothing wrong with being a paralegal, but you've got to graduate from that level. You've got to move up. And this is going to anybody who finds himself in the artisanal kind of business. You are a plumber. There's nothing wrong with plumbing. It's not a bad job. You are not adding value to your plumbing. Because those people living in Transaco, don't they have problems with plumbing? They have. The Transaco company, don't they do plumbing works in the houses they build? They have. So if I were you, I'll be hungry. I am going to stop plumbing for people like Yaw Tenkorang and go and look for some bigger people to do plumbing for. Because me, when I call you, it is just the tap you are going to change and the small work. But we are talking about you've been given a mansion and we say do the plumbing works for the mansion. You will feel do one. Do you have the capacity to do it? Do you have the heart to pursue that kind of contract? The heart. Because those contracts, they are not given to you, you take them.
Yes.
I repeat, those kind of contracts and segments of the market, they are not given to you. You do what? You take them. They are not dropped into your mouth. You jump up
And catch it.
and pull it down.
Yes.
They don't come to you. It has people who have it already and are working on it. But you see, you must have a certain spirit, even if you have another person offering that service, I'm taking over. It doesn't matter, try me and see. Do you have that spirit? Oh, be that. Oh, sir. Oh, okay, that's why I bye-bye. Sir? You will have to give it to me. You will have to give it to me. Look, it may take 6 months, but the longer it takes to get a contract, the bigger the contract and the longer the time you will survive on the contract. Some contracts can take 6 months for you to get it, but when you get it, you can sleep for 1 year. You can sleep for 1 year. You see, you have to think like that. Some of you, I literally had to call you once, twice to come here. Do you know why? It is because I know that you can make more and do more and become more and bigger. You are bigger than you are today. You are way bigger than you are. You are greater than you are. There is nothing wrong with being a mechanic. There is nothing wrong with being a mechanic. But you see, you must graduate. Because if I come and you do try and error, oh, Brian, okay, problem home, okay. You would have saw a problem. Then you remember buying or see a try. The problem still there. It will take long. But there be some people, when you go there, they put computer. They put it under the car, put some code for there. Then they diagnose the problem. And they say diagnosis 200 Ghana cedis. Just the diagnosis. Diagnosing the problem, 200 Ghana cedis. When you go to those places, they don't have time for broken down vehicles. Because they don't have, and all the cars you see, you don't see my Pontiac there. You see some Lamborghini, you see some Porsche, you see some, those big kind of cars. So if you continue serving Pontiac owners and Toyota Corollas, you go chair. But you see, for you to get to that level, it means that you have to pinch yourself and go study computer. Because if you don't know how to operate the computer, how are you going to use the computer, diagnose the problem, and move to that level? See, so you can be working in such a company, you have to find a way of upgrading yourself and learning on your own. Nobody is interested in your well-being, no. You are waiting for somebody to help you and to push you, my brother. Self-interest first. Everybody is thinking of himself. That is why you don't wait for people to give you. You take what you want. You don't wait. If you are the type who's always waiting for people to give you. And when you ask and you don't get it, no, you take no as a final answer. Oh, me, I've come to a place where I don't take no as a final answer. If you say no, I said, okay, I'll go back and regroup and rethink and re-strategize. Then I'll approach you again and say, are you sure you are saying no? And you say no, then I'll go back again and think and weigh the options. And I'll be walking around at home quietly thinking. I'm just re-strategizing and rethinking of how I can come back again. So don't take no as a final answer in this world. Don't.